My name is Christian Basel. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a Tardis. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And for those of you just joining us, welcome. And welcome to 2020, the very first episode of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS here in the new year, folks. Yay, guys. I hope you had a great time during the holiday season. I hope you did a safe thing. I hope you took care of yourselves. And I'm hoping that all your resolutions come true this year, or at least for next year, when the ones that you don't plan on getting accomplished this year get taken care of in the following year. My name is Christian Basel. I am the host of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We have an all big pack episode because we're going to be talking about Spyfall. And I'm sorry, it is my fault. And especially now, I have to talk about a bit of a convention thing here. Weird Al Yankovic has just been announced for MegaCon. And every time I see his face, I keep on thinking Spy Hard for this episode. So I've said everything wrong every time I post something, and somebody called me out. I call it Skyfall. I call it Spy Hard. I've called it everything wrong but Spyfall. And I'm glad people are watching me out, but now Weird Al Yankovic is in my head, and all I can think of is the theme to Spy Hard. God rest his soul, Leslie Nielsen. I love that show. But welcome back, everybody, here. And I want to introduce the team over here. And we're not going to be doing the Who Knew News. We just don't have time. We're going to go through Spyfall, all 2 episodes of it, and we've got a lot to unpack. So we're going to be starting with my fellow cohorse. Wow, I can't even start that all over. That was bad. Good night,
everybody. We just all let him keep going. We could just stop and start again, but we're not doing that.
No, you won't let me. So my fellow wonderful, lovely co-host, because I can't talk, the lovely Melanie Dean. How you doing, Melanie?
I am doing quite well. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS 2020. Woo! Now you get to listen to us crazy people talk actual episodes that are currently running. I'm so excited. Okay.
I didn't even know for the longest time that the new series had started until somebody said, "Oh yeah, Spyfall is on Wednesday night, and then Spyfall 2 is on Sunday, and then it's going to start." I'm like, "Holy cow! I didn't even know the series was going on." But no, hey, it's good. It's good.
Oh yeah,
we're catching up on.
Confused. Well, a lot of us, were like, "So when does it start? Is it starting now? Are we starting with a thing?" And then we find out Fathom's doing their thing, and it was. Yeah. But we're on the same page now. On Sundays, turn on your TV.
There you go. And I've got the lovely Neisha Mulchan from Diversely Geek, or Diversely Geek Mom. How you doing, Geek Mom?
Hello, my friends. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new decade. Can you imagine? Like, you only get to say that every 10 years, my friends.
Exactly.
So, woo!
The 20s are back.
That's 20s.
Get on those skirts.
Let's see if we could do them even better. Exactly. So I'm super excited. You guys know how excited I am about this new season. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be on this first episode, because there's just, like you said, so much to unpack. And looking forward to the new year with TLTT and all the collaborative stuff that Diversely Geek will be doing with the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. So, yay!
We've got a full event calendar coming up in 2020. Yeah. And I will be introducing our friend in just a moment there, who's going to be involved in our first convention in the 2020 new year. But before we get to him, I'm going to talk. Hi, Dr. Freedom. How's your 2020 going?
It's going pretty good so far, but I'm still wondering when I'm going to get my Jetsons Aero car.
We're still working on the flying skateboard. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I kind of feel like we got cheated by our, 1950s and 1960s, forefathers. By now we should have our own private helicopters and stuff like that. I ain't got it yet, but
we should be in Metropolis by now, correct?
Yep.
Good grief there. Now, what you're not seeing on your screen, for those of you who are checking us on the YouTube channel, is our friend Nico. Nico from Husbands Talking More or Less podcast. How you doing, Nico?
I'm doing great. If I had realized that I could be showing my face to people, there's a YouTube. Oh, damn. Now I want to find my webcam. I'm doing great. Usually just doing my thing over at Access for Podcast and HTML and evidently being incredibly vain, but doing great. I had an amazing time watching Doctor already this year. I got to watch Doctor already this year. How many years have I gotten to say that recently? 2 episodes of Doctor. Not last year.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that, BBC. Stop taking years off. Just do it. Just put it out there because we want more Doctor Who. We can never have enough. Put some YouTube, something, anything. You know, we having that drought for an entire year was just driving us crazy. Speaking of driving us crazy, because I'm the worst segue person ever, I would like to introduce our friend that you're seeing us on the YouTube channel. I have Mr. Ben Penrod. He is, and actually, Ben, why don't you introduce yourself to the gang and tell us a little bit about what's going on next week? Or actually, you know what? Yeah, they will be. It will be next week. Yeah, it'll be next week or this week. This week.
Yeah. No, next week technically.
It's next week.
No.
Yeah.
When
We're going to air this on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
still. It's a week later. Yeah.
Okay, fine. It's
Put the date
both
out.
this week and next week.
So it'll be next week. It'll start next week. Yeah.
Set your TARDISes for confusion.
Well, it's January 18th and 19th.
There you go.
It's Saturday and Sunday. Is Central Florida Comic Con. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be our second year. Ticket pre-sales are way above last year. We sold out all of our booths, all of our tables, everything. I spent hours squeezing in more rooms so I could get everybody in that needed to be there. So it's been really, really busy getting everything ready. It's looking really good. I'm super, super hyped for it. We've got, a whole lot of people that are going to be coming. So.
We're really, really stoked. We've got a booth out there. We've got some panels out there. So we've got a Doctor Who influence at Central Florida Comic Con. We just can't wait. It's over. Where is it at? It's at the Lakeland Lakeland Convention Center. Is that what
it's the RP Funding Center. Yeah,
RP Funding
Center.
It used to be the Lakeland Civic Center, so a lot of people still know it as that.
Gotcha. Well, without further ado, folks, we're going to be talking I almost said Spy Heart. We're going to be talking Spyfall. Brian, shut up. It's going to happen. It'll just happen. I just let it happen now. We're going to be talking Spyfall parts 1 and 2, and we're going to go ahead and start off with our ratings, and we'll start off in the corner pocket that I see on my screen. Neisha, what did you rate Spyfall 1? Shut it. Melanie's holding up a sign that says Spyfall.
Thank you, Melanie.
You don't need that. I got it right here. It says Spyfall. I can't say it to save my life.
I am and as I said on my own show, I am so not a ratings person because it's such a big wide spectrum of things. But since you're making me, for goodness sakes,
I'm making you.
I am going to go with the first episode being an 8.
An 8, okay.
Yeah. That's a conservative number for me.
Okay. Dr. Freedom, what did you rate Spyfall 1?
I gave episode 1 a 9.
A 9, okay.
Yes.
Miss Melanie Dean.
Brian, that's crazy. Okay, go.
What did you rate Spyfall 1?
I'm gonna actually split the difference. I was kind of going 8.5 because I was so not sure if I wanted to give it an 8 or a 9, but I was in the middle. So I'm gonna actually give it 8.5 TARDISes. So we're gonna split a TARDIS in half.
We're gonna split a TARDIS in half.
Yep,
and
8.5.
Destroy the universe. Nico, what did you rate Spyfall 1?
I'm kind of worried because I gave it a 6, which I think that's great. I think yeah, if out of 10 and 5 is exactly right below halfway and 6 is right above halfway. I think 60% of this was a knockout, and I think 40% of it had some problems. 13 is like my favorite Doctor, so it is certainly not a 13 problem.
Okay.
I just these they got to get shorter. 15 minutes too long. Or if 15 minutes shorter, I would have given it a 9.
Nico, I'm probably going to be in your camp for this review over there. So the showrunner is going to hold his ratings for last. See if anybody can figure out what I got over there. Part 2, Melanie, let's start with you. What did you rate Part 2 of Spyfall?
This is where I'm going to go off the rails. I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay.
I was not happy with the second part as much as I was blown away with the first.
Gotcha.
So, 5.
Dr. Freedom, what was your number?
8.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
Neisha?
Wow, Melanie, you have me flabbergasted. Woo! Surprisingly, I'm in the same boat, about a 7.5 to an 8.
Okay, I'll cut off Tardis in half for you. We'll do 7.5.
But we did an 8.5 before, so
I get the other half of the one I had.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
there you go. We round up the numbers, add
10.
10.
So
Subtract by 10 or whatever they call it over there. Nico, what did you rate Spyfall 2?
I'm going to give it an artificial 7.
Okay.
It's not that I liked it more than the first part. I thought it got a strong 5. It was a little bit less than perfect, but that last 5 minutes was like an 11.4. So I kind of got to be like, all right, artificial 7.
Artificial 7. Nico, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Nico, our numbers are tied.
ooh.
Brother of the TARDIS.
Brother of the TARDIS. We
I
think
would
alike
be
here.
honored to serve in 13's crew with you.
Our numbers are the same. I did go ahead. You know what? I was going to skip that on that, but I'm just going to say it. I rated the first episode a 6 and the second episode a 7. Now, here's the thing. When I rated it, let's just say if I took out the equation of Classic Who and everything that came before it, and we'll get into this a lot later in the episode, if these 2 episodes were like the very first Doctor Who episodes, those numbers would be significantly higher.
Ding. Yes. Yes. Yes, Brother TARDIS. Yes.
Those numbers would be significantly higher if Jodie Whittaker, this was her first show, and these 2 episodes. But because it's not the first show, and we have Classic Who, and we have canon, and we have tradition, I had to drop those numbers significantly and go, okay, what the heck? So I'm going to, with the lowest numbers, Nico, you and I tie it. So Nico, what did you think about Spyfall 1? Since we got 2 minutes left on the clock, let's go ahead and get it started.
I thought it was a lot of adventure. It was a lot of keeping me moving, and I liked that. I thought some of the choreography was maybe a little bit too in place. It was hard not to notice the number of red herrings from the beginning. I liked seeing 13 strong, in charge, dynamic, powerful, ready for whatever. That was all of the things that I wanted from 13 last season that I got, that I was hoping would continue. I felt like Chibnall was firing on all cylinders. This was a great start to a series that was just 20 damn minutes too long.
And I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, we could have made this a one hour episode at least. Or I mean, at the most, it was just continuing on too long. This is where you're going to hate me, Nico, and probably everybody else. And I'm sorry. When the commercial came up, I cringed when she goes, "Doctor, the Doctor." I just couldn't help it. It was just, I don't know why. And it would be something that I thought that I could just overlook, but the commercials kept playing in and it goes, "Doctor, the Doctor." I'm just like, I was waiting for the Matt Smith moment where she would go, I won't say that again, or something like that.
Well, but now I want the beat. Doctor, the Doctor.
Doctor.
Yes. The Doctor.
But anyways, we're going to commercial break there, folks. When we return, we're going to be reviewing both Spyfalls Part 1 and 2. Please continue on listening and always become part of the legend.
It's Germany, 1938. Charlotte is a 15-year-old girl living in the Jewish quarter. George lives in the city proper and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into his cobbler shop. George decides right then and there that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo and their dramatic escape from Nazi Germany. Good Things Always Happen in Springtime, from author Joanne Fisher, on Amazon.com today.
Alien invaders enslave Earth.
Unleashing hunters into the ruin wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal
Wonder and Adventure
in the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basel. Happy New Year for those of you just joining us. I have Miss Melanie Dean. I have Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress. I have Neisha Mulchan from Diversely Geek. I have Nico from Husbands Talking, more or less podcast. You got to check him out over here. And I've got Ben Penrod from AwesomeCon and Central Florida Comic Con. We'll be addressing that later in the show. But we've got Nico's review. He was one of the lowest scores. Neisha, you were the next lowest. You rated it an 8. Why an 8?
Oof. Okay. Are we going episodically again? Are we going first part, second part?
Yeah, we're just doing Spyfall 1, and then
Yeah. It's so hard for me to to separate in a sense, because I think very 360 degrees. I do agree with what Nico said, that the choreography was actually sometimes quite contrived. Whereas I'm okay with that, because I understand that this is a series that's originally a children's show, that there has to be some song and dance to the way that it's outlined. So in a sense, I guess I gave it some credence to that, to allow that. But I do feel there were many moments where all I could say is, Doctor, what is this? Are you sure this is how you should be reacting? Wait, the 13th Doctor, would you be reacting like this? And there were so many expected moments. Believe it or not, right? Who would believe me that I would say that? But as we lead up to the biggest reveals, etc., I felt that do you see what I'm saying? I felt that there was a level of conservation in terms of how they set up even the cinematography, but mostly I thought the dialogue and the character interactions.
Mm-hmm.
But I did love the episode.
What was the parts that you really that made you? I know that you, like you said, that you like to run 360 on the whole episode, but with both episodes kind of tied together. But was there any like really high points in Spyfall part 1 that you were completely blown away and thinking, oh my, Doctor Who's back, this is what I've been waiting for? Can you recall anything like in Spyfall 1 that you had those moments?
Well, so we have to, again, and I do give credence to contrived moments, because we have to be immersed into the experience. I do feel that they gave us a very immersive experience from the get-go, starting back with Ryan and the companions, and giving us some feedback in terms of their life. But where I really felt it was, I love the car chase, man. The whole car episode with the fighting a car, for God's sakes. Come on, this, and the experience of moving into MI6, and then bam, we're hit with the alien presence. I'm like, okay, this is sci-fi. Lots of contrived moments in there, but the setup is for us to be able to get the moment where we lead up to C and what happens with C. So I was like, okay, I enjoy this, and I'm respecting the decision to go with this, but knowing very well they certainly could have done things a little differently. I didn't love the Doctor's character at that moment. I didn't love the Doctor's character for a little while. It took me a bit to say, okay, this is the Doctor. This is my Doctor, That moment, the car was really fantastic. And of course, hello, as we lead into the episodes out in the outback, which was really South Africa, all of the goings-on, and me being able to look at that house and go, dang, there's so many Easter eggs in this house. I can't capture them all. So
there really was. That was like an insane amount. So sorry, Christian. I just kind of stepped all over because I just had to ask you a question.
No, that's okay. I experienced a technical bleh. So if you see me in my TARDIS, just pick me up and just went. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. I heard what you gave the rating for. So, okay, Neisha, thank you so much on there. Melanie, 8.5. You split a TARDIS in half.
Yeah.
You're next. What's up?
Well, it's kind of echoing a lot of stuff like what Neisha was saying, is that there was so many little spoilers and like just little Easter eggs in the first one where that I really, really, really just loved the feel of this, of the first spy. I have to keep trying to tell myself, delineate Spyfall 1, Spyfall 2.
Right.
I have to keep on looking at my notes. But I really loved the pacing of this. I felt that the writing and the dialogue was really, really tight. So when they were talking, there was a lot of banter going back and forth. I would echo Nico's point of it. It might have been a little too long. I actually think the second one was even too much longer, but that's just me. We'll get into that next time. But no, I really was completely into the Bond style kind of fun of this episode. I really liked the music. I thought the music had, and the score was really, really, really good. And especially since we've just, Murray, still kind of getting a new feel that Murray Gold's, who's always been like the scoring voice of Who. And I'm trying, still trying to get used to our latest composer. This one really just felt right. So I mean, Spyfall 1, part 1 for me hit the ground running, and I was just edge of my seat, all in, like, yay, we've got Doctor Who episodes that I'm loving. And the part where C just all of a sudden goes, oh, and then falls, what? I was not expecting us already having, losing a character so quickly, and I loved it. I really like that for the story, to keep pushing the story. I was at first thinking, man, I wanted more Stephen Fry, but on the other hand, if it's the character death pushes the story, you go for it. And for me, it went for it.
See, I wanted more Stephen Fry, but that's just me being silly about it. I like Stephen Fry.
I would have loved a lot more. And I mean, the car scene with it trying to kill them, and them using the mirror to kind of going to reflect back. I thought that was kind of funny, in that at first I'm thinking a mirror would do that, but then on the other hand, I'm thinking if you've ever had to drive anywhere and you've had to move your mirror for the high beams, I'm like, well, thank God it hit back that way and not this way. But that was just my own little internal fun. But no, I thought it was a great episode, honestly.
Brian, you rated it the highest, 9. Tell me about 9. You really got this one good. So,
well,
what did I miss?
Well, it's the cinematography was beyond excellent.
Okay.
The score by Segan Akinola, awesome, just incredible. This was just beautiful, beautiful music that accompanied the action perfectly. Then you have it in the form of like a spy thriller, where you're literally on this episode just hits the ground running. And it doesn't stop all the way up to the end. And then, you're throwing all these little diversions, and then you get the big reveal. And it's like, everybody's just like, what the heck? But one of my favorite scenes in this whole thing is where you have O, who turns out to be, someone else later on. He's sitting there talking to Graham, and you can see how he's planting those little seeds of doubt.
Right.
In Graham's mind, and that was just brilliantly executed and picked up later on. So that's why I had to rate this thing so high. But one of the other reasons why is I have several members of my own cast who were not on board at all for what was going on since series 11, and they actually rated this episode highly. It shocked the heck out of me. So whatever they did this time, they hit it right for them, at least. So that's why I had to give it a high mark, because it even turned them around, and they were diehard against it.
Well, I'm not. Here's the thing. I liked this episode better than anything put out on series 10. That's not saying too much, but yes, and I think I've said this on the Traveling TARDIS. I wanted to wait until the end to say this. If this is the direction that Chibnall's going, I'm on board. I couldn't ride the roller coaster when he was doing Series 10, but this is the stuff that he's putting out. I'm on board for Series 11. I'm on board with it. I love it.
I think meant Series 11, Series 12 there.
Okay.
Was it
I
just
know that year off throws everybody off.
that year off
Are you
throws
just trying
everything
to
off.
take away a whole season, Christian?
Everybody, welcome back to the Supernatural
Start over.
Podcast.
Right.
Well, you know what? Actually, Nico, I'm actually, and you're probably going to do this because you were talking about. I think we're both a little shaken off because of continuity, and that's going to be. I'm going to explain that more in the second episode. And I think that's why I was kind of pulling numbers down, and that's why I was just like, okay, whatever. First of all, I love a TARDIS on a car lift. That's that was just like
yes,
awesome.
with all the pieces just falling down.
Yeah,
Just
I was like,
that was awesome.
I was just a cute scene. I
that
loved
was just a cute scene there.
with Graham rolling up and just sticking his head out. Worst Uber ever.
I love Graham. Please keep him on forever. I love Graham there. Here's
but I get with the inconsistencies because the reason I didn't go any higher than I didn't want to go 9 was when something was trying to get into the TARDIS, that for me it kind of really hit my brain going, nothing could get in the TARDIS, nothing ever gets in the TARDIS. How is something getting into the TARDIS? But I did like the fact that 13 was really freaked out that something was coming through the door of the TARDIS before they
But didn't the Kerblam package get into the TARDIS?
It did, and I think that was a kind of off too.
That's because she led it, remember?
Thank you.
Okay.
She let that because she detected it was a teleport beam.
You see, if we go back in the Classic Who, there have been a few times where things have gotten, or in some cases, like the Troughton era, destroyed the TARDIS. Just weird things have happened, or the Doctor's been, pulled out. It's and there's the one time where if I'm not mistaken, it's the Journey's End, where the Doctor mentions that he was in a time where the Daleks were supremely, advanced to the point where he goes, that wooden door up there is just that, a wooden door to the Daleks. So I'm like, well, either the TARDIS can get in or get out. And when we had Eccleston's time, he didn't have defenses on the TARDIS. He actually had to get that thing from Boomtown and make that into. So this is where it just gets kind of like, okay, if you're going to get into the TARDIS, you're going to get into the TARDIS or not. But I just saw that as being a strange inconsistency there. Nico, I had to call this. Why is Yaz calling in sick when she's a time traveler? Why does she keep on going? I mean, she doesn't have to get back to work all of a sudden, and then she's like, wasn't it like she was called in? She called in like 4 or 5 times.
That's not. Sorry, but that's not calling in sick.
Oh, well, I meant, she just.
It's not that.
But she skipped out on her job, and just like you don't even have to worry about your job right now. You can go back whenever you can. You don't have to keep calling them up out there and telling them you need to skip a day. You're a time traveler. And,
well, they were explaining it as what was it, sabbaticals, if I remember right, or something.
Yeah.
It's being assigned outside of the facility that she's doing her probation in. That's what that is. So she's doing something in the field. It's just not her officer doesn't know what it is until that moment, of course, when cars come up and take her. Then it becomes something visual. But no, that's what the secondment is.
Gotcha. So. And we only got 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. So anybody wants to jump in and talk about the big reveal at the end of Spyfall, go for it.
Oh, how do you describe that? Sacha Dhawan just nailed it. As far as I'm concerned, I
sat there clutching my laser screwdriver, going, "Is he back? Is he back? Is he back? Is he? Wait, no. Now I'm mad. No, give me Missy. No. Oh no."
I was on that kind of. I went to how.
I thought it was stunning.
How? And I all of the emotions of like grief and then anger and everything with the word how each way.
Yes.
So you guys know where I'm going with this when we talk about Spyfall Part 2. It's what, where, how, why. You were dead. You couldn't regenerate. You're stuck on a planet, or you're stuck on that ship. And I'm like, but we'll answer that question when we get back we're back on a hard commercial break. When we return, we're going to be discussing Spyfall Part 2. When we return, please continue to log on, stay tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. When corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well, an unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basel. I'm here with Melanie Dean, Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress, Neisha, Mulchan, Nico from... I keep on messing it up. I'm sorry, Nico.
From HTML, Husbands Talking More or Less, as well as X's for Podcast. X's for Podcast, our examination of the X-Men across multiple decades, where on Mondays we examine Jonathan Hickman's ongoing adventures in the Dawn of X, while on Thursdays we do a throwback to the 80s X-Men Chris Claremont heyday. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week here on X's for Podcast. Nico out.
And there you go.
Somebody get him a power strip, guys. I saw a lot of plugs on that one. Anyway... Spyfall 2, the second part over here. And we also have Mr. Ben Penrod. He's going to be discussing Central Florida Comic-Con. That's going to be coming up next week when this episode premieres, afterwards. But we're going to be rating Spyfall 2, and the lowest number, Nico and I again tied for 7. Nico, you go ahead and start it out. Why did you rate it? No, I take it all back. Sorry, Melanie. You went below us. You had a 5. Yeah.
Right, because I had my artificial 7.
You had artificial 7. I had an artificial 7 too. Melanie, you hit it with a 5.
What does artificial mean? Hold on. Wait, what does artificial mean? Because I want to know this.
I genuinely thought the episode as a whole was worthy of about a 5. But I was so, my soul experienced a scrumtralescent resplendence in that last few minutes of this episode. It was everything I could have wanted. It was everything I could have needed. She just gave me minute after minute of awesome. And this, The Master, is such a glorious construction of the character. I feel a little bad because I can't unsee, and I do it every time, trying to talk about Iron Fist's enemy is Davos, but the bad guy on Doctor Who is Davros. But now Davos from Iron Fist is playing the Master, not Davros. So Davos is not Davros, he's the Master.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
You're all keeping up with that. Go ahead. Write it down.
Whirl. But I gotcha.
So, Melanie, you rated it a 5. What's your beef with Spyfall 2?
Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't go lower than a 5, so I didn't hate it. And I didn't go higher than a 5, so I wasn't all over falling over myself thinking it's great. So to use an analogy that Nico had used, because I love borrowing some of his terminology, it was 50%. It was right in the middle. I didn't hate it. It was 50% of the things I liked. Those 50% of things I wasn't such a fan of. I'm going to go with that things that I liked. I thought the funny thing with the piloting me easy portion, I thought that was kind of funny. That they were going to be able to use an app, get in everything, blah, 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 blah. So you already knew at the very beginning of the episode that clearly Doctor gets back some point and use some time travel gimmickry to fix everything. And to me, it was the first part where I felt like it was a little Bill and Ted. which I know Bill and Ted has borrowed it from Doctor Who and everyone else has, but I just kind of felt like it at first. I'm like, oh, okay, and I just felt like there was a lot of a little bit. There was a lot of MacGuffins. There was just a lot of gimmicks kind of going on that I think things just got. There was just too many. Like for me, it was a too simple explanation of, oh, just plug in the app, you're good. Like,
I wrote that down too on my thing, that they ripped off Bill and Ted, because remember at the end of Bill and Ted they had to strategically make sure everything happened in a timely fashion. I just remember garbage can. Remember garbage can. But you know what I'm talking about,
I have never needed anything more than Doctor Who to show up anachronistically in Bill and Ted's stage show at Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, please.
Yep.
Dr. Horror, I would,
That would be amazing.
No,
well, that's part of what, Melanie, to that point, that's part of what I was saying before about those contrived moments. I get them, I feel them, and because they're for fan interaction, but that's exactly my point. I felt like they just kind of staged things so perfectly.
I think there was for an hour and a half episode, or just about, I just felt that there were so many things that didn't have to be as fleshed out. Like, I mean, I get the gimmicky part where the Master's there. They're in Nazi Paris, and he's dressed up as not just a Nazi, he's an SS officer because he's got the little death skull thing. And the first thing in my head's going, how is he going to be dressed up like that and they're not going to notice anything weird? Because they had an extremely you had to be white, blonde hair, blue eyes, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I
and then I did like that.
On
They say, perception filter. Yeah. So I know I get the little perception filter, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that made sense to kind of explain away. But for me, there was so much time used in that scene, in that area, kind of going back and forth, that I think that could have been tightened up, and that they could have gotten rid of some of the gimmickry a little bit. They could have fixed some of that. So I was starting to get a little critical. And again, I just kept going, how? Because I just adored Michelle Gomez, and I just don't understand how. I loved Ada. At first I was kind of like thinking, ooh, an 1800s kind of companion, that would be kind of cool. And, like classic Who. I did like how many classic Who things there. I liked how they kept showing off the tissue miniaturizing thing. And then when he went nuts, when he told her to say, say my name, and she said Master, I was kind of thinking she was going to say Koeshi or Koi. I never say the name correctly. Yes.
Yeah, Koeshi.
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking he was going to do that, but there was, I didn't hate it. I'm not sold on the Master being back in the timeline and everything else.
But how can
I'll take it. Yes, I'll okay. We're resetting the whole Time War thing again. We're resetting the fact Gallifrey's back. I just have so many questions.
But it can't be, though. It's only the second episode of the season. No. We have a whole lot of story that's supposed to tell us other things. So I gave it a pass on that very specifically, because I'm like, that's fine. Open up a lot of doors and windows and let's see what the wind blows in, kind of thing. So, but that also puts them under a lot of pressure to make sure that we get the answers to some extent, right, that we're looking for, because they have tons of question marks all throughout 2 episodes. So
I don't want to
my thing is, I just hope that they don't give me a gimmicky answer when I saw that they were giving me gimmicky answers before. That's where I think I have the most grain of salt.
Yeah.
I need the gimmickiest answer, actually. I need like a day of the Master, a moment of the Master kind of thing, where like they get like 9 Masters together, and this is the work of 9 Masters using 9 Master TARDISes, and this I had just love the Master so much as so if the Doctor represents hope, the S represents hope, ladies and gentlemen. If the S stands for hope on this TARDIS, right? And we are saying that the Doctor is the idealized notion of healing a fractured world, then the Master has to represent the idea that the cracks of chaos will always occur within the pathos of this society. So the Master, at their most beautiful, can only ever hope to use their evil for good, kind of like a Dexter. So the Missy iteration of the Master was so important to me because she represented the idea that a bad person can still do a good thing. And she didn't in any way betray the idea of the Master. So this thought that she could be secretly inside this cabal of Masters, holding them back slightly, and giving me Marshall Romos. I just feel like this is not an unreasonable request. Chibnall, I'm here to write it for you. I would gladly do it with Gaiman. I do humbly request that I get Murray Gold back, just because that guy writes in my feelings. So, yeah, Chibnall, friend of the pod, BBC, give me a call. I'm here.
I also, the quick little note was about thinking about Master that made me downgrade it was the fact that the TARDIS went inside the Master's TARDIS and nothing happened with the TARDIS, where we saw back in Classic Who that it oh God, what was that? Was it a 4 episode or a 3 episode? When they tried putting the TARDIS inside into the Master's TARDIS and things.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, because I was thinking the Red 4. Yeah. So that made me think of that episode. And I went, wait, what? I just saw this. I watched it on Fathom. This can't happen because of the So
Brian,
I digress.
Here's the thing, and I know your passion for the Master, Nico, but Brian, there's more than 3 Time Lords on Gallifrey. Can't we get other Time Lords? The Monk, the Rani, Ramana, anybody else?
I've been shouting that.
I know the Master has a hate for the Doctor, but my goodness, I'm sure somebody else is out there. I'm sure, and to me, I'm going to say this too, and I agree with you on this, on Nico on this. After the last series, Jodie needed Sacha. He finally brought the Time Lord out of her. It took a while. I didn't see that in the last series, but with those 2 butting heads, I think I finally saw what I wanted to see from the Doctor side of things, that Jodie had the chance to produce. And I didn't see it in last season, but these 2 episodes, I finally got to see it. And when she kneels down in front of the Master, and they're having that game of what I call game of poker playing, and like who's gonna raise the stakes, who's gonna fold. She went ahead and did it anyway, and I think that's my opinion and take on that. But Brian, I'm going to bring you on in here, and I know we're going to skip the numbers because we were already talking a lot about this. But what do you think? You mentioned that, Brian. There's more Time Lords out there. That's what I was trying to lean on.
I've been shouting that for since they even just brought back the Master. It's just you've got the Monk out there, you've got the Rani out there. You've got other Time Lords who left Gallifrey. I don't know why they don't explore any of them. Like I said, the one that really frustrates the living crap out of me is one of the highest rated shows we had in this whole new series was School Reunion, when they brought back Sarah Jane Smith. Mm-hmm. We've got past companions who are more than willing to come back and do the show, right. But it just seems like they won't touch them with a 50-foot pole. Come on. There's billion opportunities for stories right there alone, on top of bringing in another Time Lord. So I don't know why they don't go ahead and do that. But, the one thing that I gotta say about these 2 episodes, it's like somebody read something somewhere and said, that's it, I'm coming out this series and I'm taking the gloves off. And that's what I liked about it. It's like, okay, oh yeah, you don't think I can do this? Watch this. Well, but yeah, I've been shouting for more Time Lords for the longest time. But all right, quickly, the reason why I dropped it to an 8, the mommy killing scene was completely unnecessary. There was no reason for it. We've already established pretty well that Lenny Henry's character of Barton is a mean, evil, sinister guy. Yeah. There was no reason for him to kill Mom on top of that. And then, of course, the scene where she's got Jodie doing the mind wipe on the 2 returning characters. Why? We've had the Dr. Plop characters back in the timelines before without having to erase their memories. But the tragic bit is, I don't know why she did it with Nyor Inyat Khan, which, by the way, I'd never heard of this person until until it started coming up, that she might appear. And the tragic part is she doesn't even live to really see the end of the war. She eventually is captured by the Germans. She does escape once, but then she's recaptured and then she's killed by firing squad. So I don't know why the Doctor mind wiped her, but like I said, it did make it that much sadder though when she dropped her off and you see Jodie walking off, because if you studied this person, this historical figure, it doesn't end well for her. She's going to probably be dead within the next year or 2. And that's what really hit me with that scene. But other than that, there was no need to mind wipe anybody. That just threw me off altogether.
Thank you for that historical context. I wouldn't have known that. And that really adds another layer to this character's sacrifice.
Now, here's the thing, Neisha, before you say, you can elaborate on that, but I want to throw this in here. I didn't like Noranyat Khan and Ada Lovelace, not because I didn't like them as companions. I didn't like the way they were used. I think they should have had a longer time. I think they were just thrown in there to. I mean, it was just like they were just tossed in there, and I was like, I think they could start. I wish they were in the first part somehow. I don't know if that would have worked for the story, but I think if you want to really delve into these characters and how they were, and how the Doctor is influencing them in their characterization, and how their characterization could influence the Doctor, we kind of saw the tweak, but I don't think the story gave it enough time. And I think they were companion. I mean, they're beautiful characters, and I feel like Chibnall just kind of just tossed them in there. Am I wrong about this? Should they have more time?
I think they could have. I think they could have, or if even then, you could have even sacrificed one character to really flesh out another one.
Flesh out the other one.
Like
Yeah,
I love Ada, but I've
Yeah,
also seen Ada
absolutely.
Lovelace in Big Finish. So give me more of Nora.
What I'm Nuri Nyat Khan. Oh my God, can you imagine that character on in a time freeze and on the TARDIS? What brilliance that would be to have her as a character. For me, what I was going to say, okay, I would have 100,000% put them in a separate episode. They actually were more than valid and credible characters to be able to have their own storyline written about them. Sure, keep it about the Master again. That would have been perfectly fine, but not have dropped it in the middle of this episode. I actually completely feel that they deserve to have their own platform in a sense. So I'd love to talk more about that.
But we got a hard commercial break. When we return, we're going to wrap up our talk about Spyfall in general, and we're going to bring in our friend Ben Penrod, who's been waiting patiently. Thank you so much, Ben. He's going to be talking about Central Florida Comic-Con. We are very excited this year. This is going to be the first convention that we're going to, and when we return, we're going to be talking about all this. But you got to stay tuned in and become part of the legend.
Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish.
Santa, if there's one thing I want for Christmas more than anything, it's someone to spend Christmas with. Someone who really wants me to be there.
Head to the mountains of East Tennessee with romance author Jenna Hart for a Christmas writer's workshop. Since her mother passed after a long illness, Jenna has had one wish. She doesn't want to spend Christmas alone. Meeting Niccolo Maldini, cover model and actor, could make more than Jenna's Christmas wish come true. Unless Ember, Niccolo's ex-girlfriend, does something crazy to stop them from being together. It's a mountain Christmas romance you won't want to miss in Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish. Now on Amazon.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. And please always help our sponsors out over there. We love our sponsors. They make sure that the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS keeps traveling all over the universe, or at least the southeast portion of Florida, and that this radio show continues on. Without their support and without you listening, we could not do this show. We want to welcome you back, and welcome to 2020. Again, we've got, wrapping up for our final segment, we've got Miss Melanie Dean, Mr. Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress, Neisha Mulchan of Diversely Geek, and Nico. I just wanted to see if Nico would say something.
No, I was sitting here poised. I was like, bro, it's like 8 letters. You got this.
Bro, it's husband talking more or less. Got it?
Talking More or Less podcast. You got to check it out. Please do. Please do. And in just a few moments, we're going to be bringing in Mr. Ben Penrod talking about Central Florida Comic-Con coming up over here. Now, we're wrapping up our talk about Spyfall, and I got to say it. The continuity bomb threw in the air. And I am really holding Chibnall accountable to this. Whatever. See, Brian, I'm going to go to you to this because I'm going to throw in a little bit of the classic Who. First of all, where the hell was the Cloister Bell? For once, Gallifrey blows up and there's no Cloister Bell.
Well, you got to remember, Gallifrey was off in the future, hidden towards the end of time. Yeah. And I don't know when it went back into a pocket universe or anything like that, but
happen. I mean, that's where it's almost like we just forgot about the 2 seasons ago with Misty and everything. This is what's driving me insane, and that's why I had lower numbers. First of all, if he is the master out of Misty, and I know we've had weird mulligans and comebacks, Eric Roberts falling into the Eye of Harmony, and all of a sudden he's back. How? Where? Why? And I'm sorry to say this. I got to say this. I think the Return of the Master cheapens the Missy storyline.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a little too fast. If you don't give a body time to decompose, it doesn't really mean a lot when they come back.
Yeah. It would be no different if they brought Yonto back from Torchwood. I meant you. Go ahead, Miss.
So sorry, I'm like chomping on the bit on this one.
No, go.
I would have bought it better if they said this was multiverses. If that was a master from a different universe, I think I would have bought that better, especially when I saw all the different maps. When I thought it was different universes. I didn't think it was different times. And that in my back of my head going, maybe it's different universes, and this is a different master from a different universe. And I think I would have been sold a little bit better on it.
And you know what? If the master, if it's been like a million years since Missy, you could buy my love. You could do it. If pocket dimension tortured with some sort of weird clock monster, and you could buy me. All right, I'm in. Number one, the master is a little too beautiful not to look at, so I'm in. But number two, I also really just enjoyed the way he loved toying with the Doctor, and no one's toyed with this Doctor. She needs to be protected in some ways because we need to be thinking about the realities of finally moving a sci-fi franchise forward to recognizing an entire gender. Good job. But now that we're here, in some ways, she does need to be protected. They can't do weird, creepy stuff with her. That's not going to be okay. So the idea of bringing this master in, it needed to be handled with such deftness. I'm really proud that they didn't go any weird. He tried to kiss her places that would have made me go ookie. Not would have been happy. So I feel really confident that even if they're going to force me to be bought with more stories focusing on the master, buy me. If they're going to force this, I'm here for it. And just give me all 9-10 masters that I want, and I won't complain.
I think that it's impossible for us to drive the force of Jodie's 13th Doctor as an amalgamation of 50 years of doctors with memories, experiences, traumas, struggles, challenges, hopes, dilemmas, and all of this learned ethos and pathos without having, first of all, in my mind, I'm seeing that the setup was in the entire first season was for us to be a spectator, to be able to enjoy the slow growth of the Doctor becoming the Doctor in this body. But in this, what I feel we were treated to was literally a car wreck. But it's not in a bad way. It's basically taking us into the psyche itself of the Doctor and this tether that the Doctor has with the Master that was created from their childhood, which we now know supposedly is a lie, correct?
So like scar tissue, that like an incident that reveals a scar tissue. So it's almost like the Doctor had to have her psyche challenged on a deep fundamental level to engage a deeper truth.
To be able to engage that much deeper hidden ethos, right? And it was through the pathos and the psychotic nature of the Doctor herself, because let's just be real. The Doctor is not all hope and cherry blossoms, right? There is a psychosis hidden within all Gallifreyans, in my experience and in my thinking. And I believe that by giving us this sudden crashing revelation, that the analogous plane crash gives us an opportunity to be jolted straight into this tether, being reformed again. And so, yes, I love and adore Missy, but I don't feel that this master is a continuum per se of Missy. I have my thoughts. You guys know what they are, so I'm waiting to see how they unfold that. But I do feel that I was very much immersed because I could feel the psychotic defragmentation of this relationship, one between us and the show, and us and the Doctor, and the Doctor and the Master, if that makes sense to you. So, yay.
Well, my theory on it is this: when Missy took the laser screwdriver hit, and remember, it was to the point it was supposed to disable regeneration. But what if it didn't? What if that is the traumatic event that brought forth this race memory that's driven this new master, completely hell bent on? Well, oh look, I made a pun. Completely, crazy to the point he went back and flamethrowed home. What if that was the triggering event, and that's why the personality has swung back towards the psychotic?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's my.
Well, here's a couple of things I want to bring in because I want to bring Ben in, and we'll talk about Central Florida Comic Con. First of all, contact. I missed that Three Doctors reference, but yeah, Brian's shaking his head. He understands. But yeah, contact. But the thing was, what drove me nuts is the 13 didn't even know that was the master. So how did she know to make contact afterwards? I mean, why didn't she know she was the master ahead of time? I mean, she knew who to plug in with. That was him. I love the Graham dance, the Graham laser dance. There should be a video game, but like Guitar Hero. There should be a dance for him on that one. Brian, I love 77 years, and all of a sudden I thought of Curse of Fatal Death, that the master kept falling into the sewer and kept popping back up and going like, 77 years in a sewer, and I'm thinking to myself, you were on Earth for 77 years and you didn't pop over to see Roger Delgado every now and then. I'm like, you really didn't get to meet yourself after a while? He was there.
Well, we don't know.
No, that's true. But it's like, hey, I need you. Come over here. I got to take out 13.
Well, and want to screw up his own plan by shorting out the time difference.
I got you there. And
I do like that Torchwood and Unit were MIA because of budget cuts, which is
budget
a
cuts.
thing.
I blame Brexit.
There you go. And we keep on blowing up Gallifrey, which we tapped into, and they're just like, come on, I mean, how many times can we blow up this planet? And that kind of cheapened. After 10 years of waiting for Gallifrey to come back, it finally comes back, and then we blow it up again. And I'm gonna wrap this up, but I'm gonna ask this of Brian. Brian, and anybody wants to jump in. I don't think that's something the master would do. I don't think it's master-like. He's not going to go blowing up Gallifrey. He would have went back in time, found out what the problem was, whatever this thing is, and would have skewed around with Gallifrey timeline before he blew it up.
I think Master would want to conquer Gallifrey before he would have wanted to.
He would conquer.
I think he would want to conquer and rule.
Well, but I mean, he's saying that whatever this is, so uprooted his sense of superiority that he thinks that he's better for being a Time Lord. And what he just found out, whatever it is Time Lords are not better than other people. His sense of superiority, his sense of masculinity or feminine power has been threatened on a fundamental level by encroaching on his sense of superiority itself. So whatever he discovered caused him to feel the only way to control the situation was to destroy it in an ultimate way. I think for a guy who has recently enslaved the whole species multiple times and tortured him to death, that's kind of in line, especially if he found out the thing that motivated those, let's call them what they are, horrendous genocides was in fact,
Yeah, you just hit on what I was about to say. What if you found out the very people who've been judging you, telling you what's right from wrong this whole time, and holding sway over you, are actually the whole thing is based off a completely horrendous lie?
Well, we'll find out.
And this is a being who had been tortured from the moment of sentient existence, and that lie, I can imagine, would have been what's called a psychotic break, which could easily have honestly led the master to have destroyed Gallifrey in that pure rage.
Don't mean to cut you off, Neisha, but we want to bring in Ben, and we want to talk about Central Florida Comic Con. Oh, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But Ben, please tell us a little bit more about Central Florida Comic Con Year 2. And what are you most excited about the upcoming convention coming up?
Yeah, so Central Florida Comic Con, it's January 18th and 19th. We're actually doing a wrestling show on January 17th, Friday night. That's the first time we're doing a wrestling show involved with Central Florida Comic Con. So that should be pretty fun. But for Central Florida Con, we're doing a little bit bigger than last year. We're kind of upgrading a tiny bit. I think.
Wait a minute. Who does Melanie have to wrestle?
But we got a tournament going on. She can jump in.
Oh wow!
I can do a Hurricane Rana.
Yes.
I know wrestling people. FYI, I'm all in with AEW.
Oh, well, you should come. You guys should come to the show.
I grew up WWF, so I know it well.
You should come hang out. It's gonna be a really good time. So we're growing a little bit bigger than last year, and then the idea is if this year is as successful as it looks like it will be, then we're going to maybe go a lot bigger for next year. So hopefully everybody will show up that we think is going to show up. But this year for celebrity guests, we got Jason David Frank, the original green and white Power Ranger. Super excited. He's amazing. And the rumor is that he might be involved in the wrestling show in some way. So maybe keep an eye out for that. We've got Cooper Andrews from The Walking Dead, from Shazam. He's super cool. He's a super fun guy. I don't know if you guys have ever met him before or seen him at a con.
He's an incredibly great guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's I'm so happy that he's coming. They've got Aaron Zek from Ruby and Red vs. Blue. We've got Austin Tyndall, who's been in like every anime ever. He's in I think the main ones that he's in are Tokyo Ghoul, Assassination Classroom. He's on Attack on Titan. But his list of credits is just ridiculous. We've got George Lowe returning. He was with us last year. Space Ghost. He actually did our radio commercials for us this year. So if you're listening to the radio station in Lakeland, you'll hear his voice. So I was really excited to do that.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then for,
sorry, I'm a huge fan of his back in the Space Coast Coast to Coast days. So yeah, that's awesome that he did your commercials.
Absolutely, 100%. That's one of, you just made my childhood even better somehow.
So I was about to write the copy for the radio ad, and I was like, man, what if we got George to do it? So I texted him and I was like, how much is it going to cost for you to do this? So it worked in the budget, so it was good. So that was a really, really cool thing that we did. And then we've got like 20 artists coming, 20 guest artists coming. We've got actually, I think we've got over 70 artists total coming to the show. We sold everything out. The artist alley, the dealer room, completely sold out. Yeah. I've got I opened up a new area in the kind of near the tabletop gaming. I've got all of most of the fan groups that are coming to the show are going to be over there. And then I've got stuff set up in the lobby. I mean, we're just going to have such a busy show. There's going to be so much going on. There's a bit more to do this year than there was last year. And I'm testing out some new things. And the idea is to see if this is something that can really blow up, for this year and for next year.
And if you guys want more information, check out centralfloridacomiccon.com. You can purchase your tickets on there. Also, if you just happen to be perusing the Facebook page of the Legend of the Traveling Tardis, it's part of our events. You just click on the link, and it'll take you to the link to get your tickets as well. I just always want to ask you this question, Ben. What is your most proudest moment about doing conventions? Because you've also did Awesome Con, but what's the proudest thing you've done as far as conventions are concerned?
We've done some really cool stuff. Something's going to pop up soon after we go that I didn't think of. Some of my favorite things I've done. We hosted. So I got to escort both in different years, Peter Capaldi and David Tennant to the bathroom. So that was.
Woohoo! Excelsior! Sorry,
I had to guard them from fans.
Which one of them has the biggest Sonic?
So that made you their companion on the way to Tardis?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Companion.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah.
So I got that was really fun. I made sure that I kept just kind of popping up wherever David Tennant was until he remembered me and remembered my name. So now Now we're good friends.
Professional move. Very nice, sir.
We're best buds now. We had a good conversation about DuckTales, so that was fun. Those are some. I like. I'm not as involved with AwesomeCon as I was before, but I got to do some really cool things. We booked a lot of guests for their very first shows, or the first show that they'd done in a long time, or the first show they'd done in the States, like Billy Piper, Peter Capaldi, John Boyega from Star Wars.
You guys have actually booked my comic every year for the last 3 years, and we do gangbusters at AwesomeCon. I cannot speak highly enough of the people, the atmosphere, the quality, everything about AwesomeCon. It's like 5 hours away, and we never, ever, ever miss it. We set up for the whole weekend. We get an Airbnb. It is like one of the highlights of our con season.
Yeah, and that's the first weekend in May this year. So May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Again, please check out Central Florida CentralFloridaComicCon.com. Wow, I couldn't say that right properly. Get tickets now. Events next week there. Check out Artist Melanie Dean. Check out her Facebook page and all the stuff that she's writing up there. Diversely Geek with Neisha Mulchan, our geek mom. Check out Brian Burress. Always please subscribe to his YouTube channel for Dr. Freedom. He's always dropping out new Doctor Who information and news. You got to check it out. It's such lovely stuff. And of course, Nico and Kevo with Husbands Talking More or Less. Check out their podcast too. My name's Christian Basel. Welcome 2020, and to everybody, be safe out there all year, because we want to see you out there again. We'll become part of the legend.